This is just a video to give you a general idea of what you might expect if you drove from Monemvasia to Areopoli. Areopoli is on the Mani Peninsula. The Peloponnese has 4 peninsulas that stick out into the Mediterranean, or the southern part of the peninsula. Really, the Peloponnese is really an island because of the Corinth Canal that now this island has water on 4 sides. Anyway, this, you can go either direction. It's about an hour and a half. I think we took about 2.5 hours. We went sort of the back way. So what I'm showing you here, this is kind of the area that we stayed at in Enplo Suites, which I would really recommend. They're really quite nice. It doesn't have a sandy beach, but it's much more private. You will note that in Greece, if it's got a sandy beach, it tends to be overdone in a lot of population. I would say Areopoli, this place here that I'm looking at, is really a neat old rock town that's really worth almost a day or 2 days stay in it. Now, it doesn't have too easy access to get to the water, so that's kind of the only drag with it. So if you were in Athens and you drove, you would go over the Corinth Canal, you would go to Nafplio, and Monemvasia is, at one time in historic time, was a very important center for the Peloponnese. Here we went to Zakynthos, there are these other islands, and then to Corfu. So Corfu is at the most northwestern part of Greece, almost quite close to Italy, so we can see why Corfu had the Italian influence, if you will. It's quite close to it, so it makes sense why the Italians sort of came to that area. So this gives you a feel for what it is. Now, this area is fairly arid. If there's water, there's a good amount of agriculture, is what I noticed. And really, the Peloponnese, Greece has a lot of orange, a lot of orchards, if you will. I always like a country that can feed its people and has learned the art of cultivation. The interior is more mountainous. They're not real huge mountains, but it is certainly more mountainous. Olive trees, you'll see plenty of olive trees throughout this region. Again, it's not like you're going to go through some spectacular woods. It's much more arid, this area. We are traveling here probably in July, August. So it's going to look a little bit drier than what might be typical. I mean, this is going to give you a pretty good idea for this 1.5 to 2 hour drive from Areopoli to Monemvasia. I think Monemvasia is really worth seeing. It's called the Gibraltar of Greece. It's kind of a neat walled city. So here we are approaching near Lemeni Bay. Now, the cool thing with this area that we stayed at, there was a little family of sea turtles, and we just happened to be swimming one day and ran across them, which I'm going to caution you, don't go up to them and try to pat them. I heard a few people getting snipped, and if you get bit by a sea turtle, it's going to leave a pretty good bite. You probably may have to go to the hospital, so just be cautious. But you can see it's pretty arid here. A tough place to make a living, if you will. So this part of Greece certainly is off the beaten path. So if you are traveling in the summertime and you don't want to be around hordes of people, this is probably not a bad choice because there isn't a whole lot of trees. Everything seems to be made out of rock, and they have made a good job of having codes that if you're building structures, they really have to be made with the traditional materials, the traditional rocks, etc. Subscribe and like.